Okay, we're recording now. Oh, hello, folks. This is Joko, Teacher Joko, who is going to give some feedback on this Task 2 general training question presented to us by a gentleman from UAE, from Dubai. And this one features a lot of very common mistakes that I see frequently throughout my years here at this board. They're classic mistakes, and I'm not saying anything bad about the writer. Everybody makes these mistakes, and I want you to look for these in your own writing, because I'm sure that everyone has some of these tendencies. What are they? Well, let's go down to the bottom here. I put them in I was going to do a little bingo thing. That would be kind of cruel. They are comma after a time clause. When you start a sentence with a time clause, you need to have a connector. A comma after it. Commas after connectors, like cohesive devices. Missing articles. The. Subject-verb agreement. What that means is that if the subject is plural, then the verb needs to reflect that. If the subject is singular, same thing. The difference between few and a few. Canned connectors. Well, those are, on one hand, on the other hand, starting to paragraphs that don't fit the content of what the paragraph that follows contains. One of the blank. Thrown in positions. Now, this writer does a good job of presenting a position and expressing it and supporting it in most cases. However, there are these sneaky little throw-ins, like a word here and there. Like, oh, this does X, or this is why this is an advantage, and goes through X and explains it, and then says, oh, but Z also is a disadvantage, and then there's nothing. Okay. Run-on sentences. We'll see some examples of that. Unclear referencing. What did he mean by that? Who is he? What is his or their? Referencing, of course, is the use of pronouns, possessive pronouns, subject pronouns, object pronouns, and it needs to be clear what the pronouns stand for. However, blah, 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 yet, blah, 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 blah. Double conjunctions, some conjunctions go at the beginning of a sentence, and then they connect two clauses, and they don't require anything in between. We'll see some examples of that. The essay itself, 302 words. 168 of them were unique. That means used once, meaning 134 of them were used more than once. Some of them, of course, like a and an and the, grammar words you have to use frequently. Longest sentence, 45 words. Shortest sentence, 6. Average sentence is a bit long. Okay. Any words overused? Well, let's see. Working, 5 times. Get. Well, get's not a good word, generally speaking. What else? Time, when. Okay. Got that from wordcounter.net. Let's have a look. Where? Okay. Oops. Oh, here's the person who wrote it. Yep. Oh. No, okay, I'm not getting anything. Okay. In some countries, teenagers have part-time jobs while they are still at school. What benefits does this bring a child? They're not children, they're teenagers. Are there any drawbacks? Okay, so note, this is a general training question. It's asking you, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? It's not asking you to decide whether or not one outweighs the other or one is more than the other. Be sure to identify that, because if you do give your opinion, you're not doing what's being asked for. Okay, so here's our first of the classic mistakes, which is the missing article. There should be a the before this word. Why? Because of this. Because of in. In, here. Youth, in. And anytime you've got a noun followed by a preposition, that tells you which youth you were talking about. Now it's defined. We know which ones. So you need the definite article, the. Now, few and a few. Here's a way to think of it. Okay? A few is more than you expect. There's got two words, right? It's longer. When you were expecting nothing and you get some, you get a few. It's a positive thing. Few by itself is a negative thing. So it's shorter, right? It makes it negative. Few is when you expect more and there are fewer. There are less. So in youth in few nations, that has with it a meaning of not many but less than we expected. Youth in a few nations, well, in this case it's neutral. In a few nations, now youth is a plural noun and used this way, like people or children. Youth, we know it's a plural noun. There's not one of them. So plural, youth, no, children does, no, children do, youth do. Temporary jobs are not the same thing as part-time jobs. Part-time jobs are when you work less than 40 hours per week or less than 30 hours per week. Temporary jobs mean that the start and end date of it are fixed. When they are yet to complete their studies, color. Yellow is lexical or vocabulary. Green is grammar. Are yet to complete their studies. When they are yet to complete. No, when they have not yet completed their studies. Okay, next in the second sentence, we have the two conjunctions error. Okay, although. When you start a sentence with although, you end your first clause, your first part of the sentence with a comma, and you begin the next part without any additional conjunctions needed. You've already set it up. Although does not need this yet in the middle. Although this definitely helps youngsters. No one likes that word. It helps youngsters to have. Helps youngsters have. You don't need the to there. A sense of responsibility and financial stability. Well, we'll get into that in the body paragraphs. Yet. Okay, we don't need the yet. We do need a comma, though. Comma, have. What has? You forgot the subject of the second clause. These jobs, or taking these jobs, has some flaws leading to their bad scores in studies and stress. Here's another thing that we see a lot in this essay. Okay, bad scores in studies and stress. Okay, which leads to, you see how this confuses people? Bad scores in stress. How can you have bad scores in stress? Those don't go together. It should be like this. It should be leads to stress and bad scores in studies. Okay? Because that and makes me think that it also connects back to the bad scores. It has been observed. Can connector. Got that out of a can. It doesn't really belong in this sentence. Because it's not an we use this with opinions. It has been observed. You don't use that with facts. And it's a fact that students work. It's been observed that students in the early stage of their schooling, okay, you got that backwards. It's late in the stage of their schooling, when they're almost finished high school. That's when they have these jobs. That's what they're talking about. In the early stage of their schooling, now that's a time clause, just like tomorrow. It's telling us when it happens, and it's at the beginning of a sentence, so it needs a comma. Spend many hours of their time in working, have many pros. Okay, that's incoherent. We don't need the in, time working, and have, what? It has been observed. and then you say, students, oh, this is your opinion. Oh, God. Very confusing sentence. Spend many hours. You got opinions inside of opinions. Okay, one of the main advantage. When we got one of, you need a group. You need a plural. One of a plural. It has to be a plural. One of the main advantages is that this practice definitely creates a sense of responsibility in them by not depending. They receive, or they develop a sense of responsibility by not depending on their parents. By not depending on their parents or aides? What teenagers have aides? For their basic and financial necessities. Money can buy a lot of things, but money can't buy you love. Money can't buy love. Okay, anyway. What do you mean? Basic and financial necessities. Well, a basic necessity would be food. The children don't need to depend on their parents for food anymore? Well, doesn't make any sense. That's not what's happening. This not only helps them, the kids or the parents, understand the importance of time, but also, so not only, but also. You got to fit that in there somewhere, right? Unfortunately, though, we use not only, but also to connect two ideas, the first of which you should have already talked about. This not only helps them understand the importance of time. Where is any discussion of time before that? So you can't have not only this without talking about this before. The importance of time, but also helps them to understand the importance of time, but also monetary stability. Okay, so again, here you got two things. Helps them understand the importance of time, but also monetary stability. Oh, wait. But also lets them earn money and be financially independent. No, they're not. For most of their needs. Well, if it's for most, then they're not independent. Partially independent. Even then, that's independent is independent. You can't be a little bit independent. Besides monetary stability, comma, when they meet other people at work, comma, they understand their interests. Whose interests? See how that there is confusing? The other people? Or are you talking about the students? Understand their interests, then later pursue their education in the same field as the other people at work? So if they're working at a restaurant, anyway, confusing referencing. Additionally, comma, while studying and working, comma, they do not, we don't use contractions like don't, we say do not. They do not get extra time to waste. What? So they get no spare time. That's an advantage. So they do not get involved in any non-productive activity and stay punctual. It helps them stay on time. Punctual means that you arrive places or you make appointments or you go to class on time. This is a throw-in position because you don't support it in any way. What do you mean by a non-productive activity? And how do they stay punctual? There's no backup for this. You just kind of throw it in. And it doesn't get you any points. And it will hurt your score. Contrary to this, you know that you need a comma there. Where this idea of early working for schools it's an idea is singular, has, and don't use kids, for schooling kids. Those two words don't go together. Has advantages. Has advantages, definitely have. Oh, see, now there you need something to contrast them. Firstly, comma. they do not get ample time to focus on their studies and daily assignments. And to fulfill them, comma, they either copy from their fellow individual. What? Those two words do not go together. Their fellow student or friend. Just put friend. Or get low academic scores. Once again, we've got two things that they either copy from this or that. So they copy from low academic scores and to fulfill them. Okay. Secondly, health matters cannot be ignored. For who? These school-going. I've seen this before. It is kind of silly. School-going kids. We know that they're going to school. Do not get enough sleep. Now here the part that begins with which does not define the sleep. Okay? In other words, the sentence, these kids do not get enough sleep, does not need any other information for us to understand it. We know what it means. So when we have something that just adds extra information, we have to separate it. Oh, shoot. For the last all this time, I've been talking about something you can't see. Here it is. I can't go back in time. All right. There it is. We're talking about sleep, comma, which is a basic necessity. That is an additional thought. It needs separation from the rest by a comma. And additionally, nope, don't put those together. While working, they meet different people. Oh, look, just like up here. They meet other people. And here, it's a good thing. Here, when they meet other people, what happens? They take wrong or unacceptable paths. As in adolescence, comma, youngsters are more vulnerable to bad habits and inadequate addictions. Those words don't go together. Like smoking. Oh no. All right, so here we have they meet different people, and it's a good thing. Here we have meet different people, which you're repeating yourself and contradicting yourself. Note, this last sentence from secondly. Oh, excuse me. Oh, no, wait. From these school-going kids down to here is there it is. Excuse me. 46 words long. This sentence is a monster. Look at that. These do not get us. Then we have one, which, and, additionally, while, 4, and 5, as in 6, or as 6, and 7, like 8. You got 8 connecting words in one sentence. In conclusion, while working part-time, comma, it's a time phrase. For teens when have advantages financially and skillfully also have many unignorable disadvantages, like stress. You never talked about stress. In your conclusion, you should restate what you've been talking about using different words. Don't bring up anything new. Did we get stress? No, there's no stress in the preceding paragraphs. And health-related issues because of their work environment. Now, once again, that has not been brought up either. We have no. You mentioned. Well, I guess the work environment could be where they meet these darn smokers. Because of their, so that is an odd way, because of their work environment. Okay, so you got a lot of work to do to get to a 7, my friend. Here's a good place to start. These are once again, what I talked about. Commas after time clauses, commas after connectors, missing articles, subject for an agreement, a few, canned connectors, like it has been observed. One of the blank, where was that? Oh yeah, one of the advantage. Thrown in positions, run-on sentences. Yeah, okay, we got all of those. Okay, best of luck to you in the future.